probably we can give him a shot. And that's been my journey, wherein I wasn't from the industry. I went, knocked a few doors, emailed.
Most of our generation is just busy scrolling reels. They're not able to implement anything. It's just like, yaar, kuch karna hai, but kya karna hai, wahan tak there is no rule.
People have different risk appetites, and I think the one thing that people need to be honest to themselves about is how risk averse. Welcome to another episode of the Loyantra Founders Club podcast. Today, I'm very fortunate to be joined by two incredible people, Dhruv Patodia and Shubham Dumbre. So Dhruv and Shubham, I'm going to request you all to introduce yourselves, but not in a very standard way. I want you guys to give me your elevator pitches the same way you all probably would to an investor.
Oh, lovely. So my name is Dhruv and I'm the founder of Sort My Scene. We're India's third largest event ticketing platform, and we provide ticketing as well as cashless payments service across 100 cities, 25 states, pan-India. And we're probably India's first tech-first event ticketing platform.
Wow. And Shubham?
Yeah, so I happen to be the founder of deltatheinnovators, and additionally, I am also working at a SaaS-based company from US. We provide softwares at discounted rates. Parallelly, I'm an author, a marketeer. I'm pursuing my doctorate as well. So yeah, learning a lot and like exploring through the different paradigms. Want to find my calling. That's what it is about.
So we have two guests here with very different backgrounds. Dhruv, sorry, it's spelled Dhruva.
It's Dhruv. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just so tired of correcting people. It's not Dhruva, but Dhruv. And then I realized it's a waste of time. Like,
Yeah, you let me call you Dhruva for years.
yeah, that's how I was saving, I don't know how many minutes of time in that span.
Yeah. So Dhruv is somebody who started his venture straight out of college, and Shubham is somebody who's working a 9 to 5 and has a very strong side hustle which he's growing. The Delta, Delta the Innovators.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. So the topic for today is when and if you should leave your job to start a startup, to go full time on your startup rather. Right. So I think you guys are perfect guests to have to talk about this. Right. So let's start a little bit about your journey. So Dhruv, what was it like, when you just exited college and wanted to start Sort My Scene?
The idea of starting Sort My Scene started while I was in college. So, to brief you, I was studying at London Business School, and I had a dual degree program which included 1 year at London Business School and the second year at Fudan Business School in Shanghai. But sadly, I was the batch of COVID, right? So my journey in London was cut short by a few months, which is I came back in March 2020. But I had such great friends, like whenever we were at a bar chilling, we used to just pick up a startup and just start thinking, okay, how and what we can do better with it. And there was a similar startup in London, which I absolutely loved using. So me and a few chaps, we thought what would work from it in India. And that's where the journey started. And we always had it ideated on pen and paper. And luckily or unluckily, COVID happened, came back here. I deferred my second year at Fudan Business School, and I was like, let's give this a shot. Obviously, I had an option to join my family business, but I was like, let's give this a shot. If I fail in this 1 year, probably I'll go back to completing my second degree. But if I don't, I think I'll have a business at hand. So luckily, I can call myself a college dropout, I guess, but because I didn't end up doing the second degree. So yeah, I'm a college dropout that actually ended up founding a startup with 1 degree, not 2.
Wow. And Shubham, what about you? What was your journey like?
Yeah, so I have always been in the favor of credibility. So I thought I should firstly myself establish into the industry such that people will know this guy is authentic. So I completed my computer engineering, finished my MBA. Now I'm pursuing my doctorate into marketing. So I feel like credibility is something that is an extra added advantage. Of course, you need skills, you need entrepreneurial mindset, a lot much of efforts and teamwork and many things to come together for your startup ecosystem. But a credible tick into your portfolio is really something that I look forward to.
Yeah, Dhruv, what are your thoughts on that? The credibility.
I think it's partially correct. But for someone like me, I entered an industry where I didn't know anyone from the hospitality space, from the event space. And it was just like, how do you build credibility in a space where you don't know anybody? obviously you have one option: you take a job in that industry, build some rapport, build some network, some credibility out there. Or the second way out is you hustle your way through, and you are the reason why people think, yeah, probably we can give him a shot. And that's been my journey, wherein I wasn't from the industry. I went, knocked a few doors, emailed, nothing came my way. But I think we had everything ready. But for 9 months, I didn't have my first client, and I was like, okay, but I'm not gonna give up. And obviously, it would have been easier had I done events, taken up that path. But over time, what we were building, I and my team and I, we genuinely felt what we are building is gonna change a lot for the ticketing space. And luckily, we got a few people to give it a shot. And once you have that 0 to 1 plunge, it's never going back, because that one shot is where you make it, and that's where I think the journey towards credibility starts. And you just have to maintain that. And I'm very honestly saying that if I have 4,000 clients, all of them know me personally. I probably have met 200, but they all speak so highly, saying, oh, I know Dhruv. And I think that's more than enough to say credibility wise, where everyone knows me. And that's how we've scaled so fast.
Yeah. So now the journey of building a startup, right, or even a side hustle, has its high moments and its incredibly low moments, right? So if you guys had to reflect on your journeys, what do you think was your lowest moment, while building what you are?
So initially, when like we were in our engineering days, my team members were my batchmates, of course, and my juniors. So we all were in that quest of doing everything, like right from building websites to like softwares to doing trainings and like a lot much, because we felt like we can do everything. And like it was not like we could delegate work to someone, because it was like I can do it the best. So this thought process was something that was not a much fruitful one for us. When we realized it in the times when COVID came in, we realized when we were apart, we couldn't work. So my team broke. This was the lowest point, as
What do you mean exactly when you say your team broke?
many of them left. They were like, we want to just work somewhere and get our things done. Some of them went for like higher studies and all. So like initially the way we used to work together, we had an office and all. No one like showed up after COVID. So it was a really a low phase in the life. And of course, like being an entrepreneur, I became a solopreneur for some point of time. So that was something that was really like a learning point. And I felt one thing, that it is very important to also understand what others want in their careers, because I felt like till now it was only my vision and my co-founder's vision. We both were like aligned, but rest others were just in the quest of like getting some job and getting their daily bills paid. So that was their mindset. So this was the lowest point, which I feel was very intriguing. But now when like after realizing this, we tried to fix it by changing the direction, by like modifying the approach that we had. And of course, like we have those members in touch, but now it's more of on a project basis rather than a full-time one.
That's interesting. So how exactly did you modify the approach?
Yeah, so like as I said, like we were doing everything. So firstly, we like created a list of around 10 things that we actually do well. From those 10s, we started like deducing the ones we actually are like very good at. We took feedback from people, and whatever work we have done in these 5 years. Now we recently completed our 5 years at Delta.
Oh, congratulations.
So thank you so much. So my birthday actually happens to be the anniversary for Delta on 9th of April.
Oh wow.
Every
Cost cutting.
Yeah, cost cutting. Yes. So now when we have these discussions, so I have always been an advocate for credibility. So I have always asked my guys to like, okay, it's okay if you are not ready right now, but complete your education, get some experience, and then maybe we would get our calling. So like my co-founder as well, he's also completing his MBA now. So we're like on same lines, but going a little slow with our route to credibility. So that's how it is for us.
I think the lowest moment, not only for me, but for most founders, is the journey from 0 to 1. And like I said, at Sort My Scene, my CTO had built the product pretty fine. But now, because we were planning to build a marketplace, which is having organizers sell tickets on the platform, and you have customers who are looking to buy tickets on the platform. You go to organizers and you tell them, okay, you know what, start using my platform. They'll be like, okay, what's your database like? Who uses your platform? And surprise, you have 0 people who are using it.
Yeah.
You go to people who want to buy tickets and you go like, oh, you know what, just download my app, use it. They'll be like, okay, what events do you have? Again, it's 0. So scaling a marketplace, what I strongly believe is probably the most difficult type of startup to co-founder found. So now coming to getting that first client was the most difficult because we were stuck in a place wherein everyone was, all the organizers, all venues were like, you don't have anybody using a platform. So 9 months tried emailing. Well, hospitality industry, they have LinkedIn profiles, but they don't check that. We hit them up on LinkedIn, no one replied. Put it up on WhatsApp, no one was coming through. But guess what? Everything that you learn in B school goes into waste out there, because I was like, let's do the I don't know, like, let's do the dating app way, which is you slide into the DMs. So I actually ended up DMing a lot of these organizers and venue owners, and I was like, yo, you know what, I'm creating this super cool thing. It helps you save costs, gets you faster payments, better tech. Just get on a call, I'll show you something that I have. And luckily a few of them told me come meet and everything, and I'm not kidding, what I was working on for months, one DM is all it took was to just get it started. And I think that was the lowest point, where you're questioning what you're building, why you're building. At the same time, your CTO has actually built it, and you're like, oh, like, how do I now sell this somewhere?
Yeah.
So I think that's the lowest point out there.
That must have been really hard as well, right, to go through.
Yeah, because it's COVID, right? Events are not happening, and you're like, okay, let's do this in COVID. When nothing's happening, you're like, I'm gonna go and build something which is not gonna work in COVID, but it's gonna work post-COVID. Like, obviously, I was thinking, like, I was very positive on the event space, the ticketing space, to take a spike immediately after COVID. When you're stuck inside indoors, you wanna go outdoors, you wanna go meet people, you wanna socialize, you wanna party more. So I was playing a big bet on that. But it's just that COVID went on and on and on, and you're just stuck like, when is that bet actually gonna get you to win, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually.
Yeah,
and
totally.
It's been a long journey, but it's been a fruitful journey, right? And a lot of people, and this is why we're doing this podcast, right? Probably were in the same position that you were at some point, where they have an idea, they want to go at it, but they're not sure whether they should leave their job or not, right? So before we discuss into whether they should leave their job and how they should leave their job, let's just talk about this generation, like the new Gen Zers who are there and how they view work. Because I'm sure you all both come across a lot of them, right? You all both work with a lot of them. So Shubham, why don't we start with you? What's your opinion on the Gen Z and how they view work as different from other generations?
Sure. So, like, adding on with my career perspective, because I also happen to be a career consultant. So, I've seen like our generation, generally, like the youngsters, what we call, are very reactive, are very instantaneous. They want to just like fast pace their growth. And most of the times, I feel like, I don't know, maybe opinions can be different, it is directionless. Today, we are running behind certificates, we are running behind these short-term courses or like added degrees and all. But where is the quality? That quality factor is missing. And also, like, companies like market a lot many times saying that when you do this course, you'll get like a good package and all and all. So our youngsters, I feel, are most of the times distracted by so many notifications, I could say, and like other motivations, like you would get growth and package and all. That is one thing. Secondly, as you asked, like, what is about our generation, that is very interesting. So we are exposed to the world of information, the internet. If we make good use of it, of course, it's gonna like help us a lot. It will open good doors for us. But I feel like most of our generation is just busy scrolling reels. They're not able to implement anything. It's just like, yaar, kuch karna hai, but kya karna hai, wahan tak there is no route.
Yeah.
So the depth, I feel, is missing in our generation, and that's what we should try to like reach for. Because generally, like our older generation, if we see our parents and all, they have stayed in one organization for like 30 years down the line, 20 years down the line. So these people are considered to be like the ones who are with the organization, and they are, I won't say the word loyal, but they are very much like devoted to that particular organization. But our Gen Zs, if you see the resume, it's like 2 to 3 years max. 2 years is also like too much nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, and if there's any like anger issue or ego issue that comes into picture, it's just like it hits on the resume as well.
Yeah.
So I feel that is a challenge. Yeah.
That's
what about you?
interesting. I think, see, Gen Zs, the cool thing is, again, because they have so much information available to them, they are actually, they have crazy ideas. But due to COVID and again, due to short form content, their attention span is super low. So what I would say, I'm not going again on all Gen Zs out here, But what I would say is a hustler who is uh, in our segment would be more like, I want to do it. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, but I want it irrespective. But a Gen Z hustler would be more on the, okay, let's find the content super fit. Like, let's find something out there which will get me out there. Like Chat GPT and all of these things. Okay, I'm a hustler, but I'm going to use Chat GPT to get out. I'm not saying AI is bad. I'm not saying all of this is, but I think Gen Z, the attention span being so low, they have crazy ideas, but again, putting it into action is a lot more difficult because they haven't faced a lot of the hardships that I think others have. Be it food delivery, be it getting a rickshaw, be it traveling by train. I can go on and on. And this is very specific tier 1 city Gen Zs. If we go into tier 2, tier 3 cities, I think the generation out there wants to make it, get out of there or stay there, get their family a crazy house out there. So their motive is absolutely different. And I think tier 2, tier 3 cities, Gen Zs, I absolutely love them because the ideas that they have to make it is just like crazy. Like I'm all pro on that.
Yeah, like actually they are here to survive. It's like a do or die situation for tier 2 and tier 3 Gen Zs. That's true.
Yeah.
So, guys, one issue that I've seen or rather faced is when I talk to a lot of people who are working at jobs, absolutely miserable at their jobs, but they still feel that, I'm waiting for the right idea. I want to do something of my own, but probably just stick around here for 2-3 years more, right? And I have a very strong viewpoint on this, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
The way you said, like many people are just waiting for that calling or that point where they'll realize, okay, I have to do this. So yeah, I find that like this thought process is sometimes helpful, but not in all the cases, because that right calling will never come if you're not free, if you're not ready to give yourself that space and time to think on what you actually have to do. That is one thing. Secondly, like I have some examples. I'll give you 1 or 2 examples. So one of my friend who was working into an MNC left his job and like then started exploring what he has to do by pursuing some courses or maybe talking to some other founders and all that. And he's now trying to build something that can fill in the gaps. So this is one way to do it. But for that, of course, the most important thing is financial security. Like talking about your financial backup. So before doing that, he ensured that he has some amount of money that is already in his savings that on which he can survive for that particular span. So this is one thing which I feel is very important, that you keep in mind all the dynamics that are surrounding you, that are evolving around you, and then probably decide on like what you have to do. Yeah, Dhruva.
Yeah, so I think unless you have a good monetary backing, be it your family business or a good high paying job to, keep you financially secure for the long run, the ideal way to go about it, which I would say is just out of the book, is getting that job which pays you enough to keep you survival, but at the same time, working on your side hustle, which you think
Basically, what Shubham's doing.
working on that side hustle, find a product market fit, seeing if that side hustle is something which gets you more than your paying job, B helps you build what you had ideated, and C keeps you happy, because at the end, why do you want to build something? It is also to be the owner of the work that you're working on, right? So yes, I think it's not about waiting for that calling, but I think if you plan to be that entrepreneur, you need to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think failures is where you actually learn. It is that first step.
Yeah.
Be it getting that first client, be it taking that first holiday to get your side hustles meeting. It's that first step which gives you that freedom.
Yeah.
So it's all about working on that side hustle.
I get the sense that a lot of people, say who work at Google, Microsoft, are actually stuck in some sort of gamification that these companies have done, because they know how to psychologically lure you to stay for longer, because it's in their interest for you to stick around as long as possible. So, there are a lot of people who I've met and they've said, oh, we've joined Google. We're going to spend a couple of years there and then we're going to start something of our own. Except that the way these companies work is that in 2 years, you reach level 2 from level 1. In another 2 years, you reach level 3. And at that point in 2 years, they're like, oh, we've done so much work, right? Why don't we reach level 3? Because they also see all their colleagues taking these Instagram vacations. their personal financial burn is also very high. So it's not like they've got a bunch of savings in the bank to do it. And then they come down to thinking that, okay, I will only go full time when I can raise funds for my idea, right? And I don't think either of you have raised funds so far, but I'd love to hear your view on fundraising, and especially fundraising as a criteria to go full time for a startup founder.
So why do you raise funds? You raise it for 4 reasons, right? First is you need money. Sadly or luckily, Sought My Scene has been a bootstrap and a profitable company since get-go. Now, I'm an engineer, so I know Jugaad, so that's why we're profitable. Second is the fact that you need mentorship. That's why you raise funds from angels or something who mentor you in the space. Or third is you want their network, VC's network and all of that. And what I think is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of founders chase the fourth one, which is the fame behind it. And or else you're a single founder who hasn't yet got himself married, or him or her, like, you aren't yet married, and it helps you get a good rishta at the end of it. So I think I think that's the fourth reason. So yeah, I think these are the 4 reasons, and I think most startups can be bootstrap unless it's tech intensive, capital intensive, or again AI intensive. So I think if you're a Jugadu entrepreneur, you can start anything and everything. All you need is that product market fit, completely bootstrap.
In fact, a lot of founders just wear it as a badge. That, oh, I raised 5 million, 10 million, 20 million.
Well,
And they'll tell you that before they tell you what they do.
Well, to be honest, we reject around 3 a week, like 3 approaches a week. And in that process, the guys are asking us, okay, you know what, show us your deck. And I am a founder who absolutely don't want to raise unless I have a Diageo or a Pernod Ricard out there who wants to come in. So I'm like, dude, I don't have a deck. I get on that call, I don't have a deck. But now tell me, what do you bring to the table? I'm just one of the startups for you. So give me a reason why I should let you invest, because we are profitable, growing at 10x trajectory, absolutely lean team, tech intensive. Our tech is probably the best in this space. So there's every reason for investors to chase us, but it's just that what value are you bringing except for money, mentorship, network? Luckily, the industry has been good enough to mentor and network for us. So now it just leaves them with money. And I think even you'll give me that money. So I don't need anyone out there. I need people who would actually believe in us and grow with us out there and bring more value than just money out there.
Absolutely. So I think the real moral of the story here is that build a strong, fundamentally strong business, and like investors will chase you. Don't go running behind.
Old school Marwari business. I'm a Marwari, bro. Like, for me, simple is, I'll be very honest. 1 + 1 can only equal to 2. 1 + 1 cannot equal to -10. I'll be very honest. And I am absolutely against cash burning. It works for some businesses, great, but I can never even look at red in my books. I have to see white or green, which means break even or making money. Red is something which I'm like, dude, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm sure people don't like red flags. I don't like red color on my accounts.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
So Shubham, what are your thoughts on fundraising?
About fundraising, like the very first thing is, why do you need funds? You have to figure out that why. Whether is it like as he mentioned, like, is it very capital intensive or maybe tech intensive? Then you really require it. Okay. Now I'll give you another perspective to it. I have written a book that's named Let's Make IT Simple. Now it has covered like around 2,500 plus smart IT resources, which are free, which are open source resources. Every software that we see, it has a free version or else like a community version to it, and also paid version. It's not like your freemium ones which only give you limited features. It has a lot of features.
Is your book free and open source, or is your book paid?
No. There's a podcast around it on like all the major platforms like Apple, Google Podcasts and all.
Yeah.
Additionally, it's available on Amazon and all. So it's titled as Let's Make IT Simple. And it took me 6 to 7 years to write it down. It has 2,500 plus such resources. So maybe startup entrepreneurs and founders can actually benefit from it. And the intent behind mentioning this here was like, you can start at zero cost. You don't need funds always.
Correct.
You only need funds when you reach a certain stage and now you feel like now there is no route ahead and you really need something to drive ahead. Only then the fund is needed.
Yeah.
That's my
That
perspective.
makes sense. Why don't we take a step back
Yeah.
and ask a slightly deeper, more fundamental question? What is the correct motivation for a founder to start a startup? Right? Say you're working a 9 to 5 and you hate your job, you hate your boss, right? He's or she is an absolute nightmare to deal with. and you really just want to get out of there, right? And you're considering doing something of your own. How does somebody reflect and check they have the right motivations to do that? And what are the right motivations according to you?
I think most startups come out of there. Uh, Personally, for me, I couldn't find out where parties are happening in Bombay, although I'm born bred out here. So that's where I was like, dude, what if you have something which gets you out there to every club out there? And especially when you're a male engineering student, you're four guys entering, you don't know how much you have to pay at the gate also. But with us, it solved that problem, right? You knew 3,000 per person. So you already said, I have to pay that. You buy it and you go. So that was the problem we were solving. And I think more startups come out of this first issue. Second is the fact that you are working in a company, another startup, or a lot of startups are founders who worked in other startups, just by the way. So you're working on another startup, and because the startup is moving in such a direction, you have a great founding team, you're discussing a lot of ideas, brainstorming, and you just realize, okay, probably this is something we should implement. But again, the team is heading in one direction and you want to build something in that direction. You get out and you build your own startup. And a lot of startups have come out like that. So I think I'm sure there are many more reasons, but I see these two as the primary factors why people start up and why I started up being the first reason.
Shubham, what about
Fantastic. Like I have seen many people running behind problems which are not actually problems as
Correct.
well. Like when I connect with a lot of people, I run my community events and also I've seen people who are solving problems which are not even existent or which are not needed to be solved. And they feel like they're making a big change. They're probably like solving a very big problem and like creating a good impact and all. But when you see the traction, it's not that great. It's not even like you could say, okay, it is something that we can consider. So that is one thing like where I feel like the why should be very clear. Like, why do you want to start up? Now, like as for example, if we take his case, he was very sure that he will do it, and he had a use case in his mind. He had some challenges which he was able to solve, and he could actually see it in numbers as well. He mentioned he likes only the greens or like break even on the sheet, like the account sheet. So he was able to figure out, and he could see it in numbers. But many a times when numbers are not clear and you just like, I want to start up or do something, it's very ambiguous statement which I feel like you have to go behind. Secondly, like the thought process that we generally perceive right nowadays because of like maybe the shine or the fame that founders or like company guys have, startup guys have, especially like the flashy things. It's like, I don't want to work for anyone. Why should I work for anyone? I can be my own founder. Like मुझे किसी के अंडर काम नहीं करना है. This is the general sense or general thought process, which I feel is very, very misguided, and it lacks depth, because I personally feel, I have heard it somewhere, I've read it a lot many times, that like, how should you start your career? If I have to just give you a small flow on that, you like when you're graduating, you can start internship with some startup or maybe like a company where you will learn the basics. Once you are done interning, once you're graduated, parallelly you can take a full-time job and continue your learning by means of certifications or some MBA or something. That is done, then go for like some company that is 5 years old. Then go for a company like after 2-3 years when you are done with a role, then go for another role, a senior role in a bigger company.
Yeah.
And that's how the flow should be. So by the stage you reach your MNC or something, it will be like your age will be somewhere around 28 to 30.
Yeah.
Because if you see the stats, the average age of a successful founder in India, can you guess the age?
I think it's somewhere in its 40s, no?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the average age of a successful founder in India is 40. And why it's okay, like we hear this a lot many times, like I want to retire before 40 and all.
Correct.
But it's fancy.
I'm
dude.
retiring in 5 years, bro.
It sounds very fancy, because what do you want to do if you're retired? Okay, you want to vacation, you want vacations and all, but human mind is so inquisitive. If you keep it active, like you see a very good example of Mr. Ratan Tata.
Correct.
Yeah, right. He's still known for his contributions and all. You see Ambani's and all. So these guys are like, even after having a succession plan, Ambani he is reputed in the industry because he worked for so long. Amitabh Bachchan is also one very good example to that one. So that's what I feel like. Why do you want to retire early?
Yeah.
That's my question to you.
I just laughed at this thing. I just realized most Gen Zs, they actually have founder at on their Instagram bio, and they just want that most of the time, that they want a founder tag on their Instagram bio, and probably that's why start something, shut it down in a month, and suddenly you're a founder of a failed startup. Oh, dude, it didn't work out. I couldn't raise funds, I just failed.
Yeah, but do you think like founders have a lot of social stigma attached to it as well, because like a lot of times I was one of those people who grew up watching Shark Tank, right? And Shark Tank kind of inspired my journey. But then when I actually started a startup, I realized that people did not necessarily look up to startup founders unless you really made it big and you weren't technically a startup anymore. You know?
Well, there are so many startups out there. Everyone is claiming to be a startup founder. They might be a businessman. Again, definition of a startup can vary, but they can be a businessman running a business vertical in their family business, and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, that's my startup. No, that's not a startup. You're just a great businessman, right? Like out there, like
Yeah.
within your family vertical, you're doing something. So yes and no out there. I don't think there's a lot of glamour around it, but there are so many startup founders. Everyone's like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That's my startup.
Yeah.
This is my startup. I strongly believe a startup is you are building something to bring a change in the society, environment, or some sort of a industry, and that's my definition out there. And a lot of people are chasing that, where they want to be that poster boy, that magazine,
Correct.
grazing your first check,
Yeah.
and all that's cool. But I think in that journey, people shouldn't lose the reason why they started off.
Yeah.
So, yep.
The why.
You always have your purpose, and I am constantly reminded of that, where we also, because you're hungry, you want to
Yeah.
do everything, and you don't know, you actually lose track in that process, where you don't know, is this why I started off?
Yeah.
Correct.
So you have to take 2 steps back, sit down and be like, dude, why did I start this thing? Am
Yeah.
I in that trajectory or not? If I'm not, I wrap it up. I'm like, let's again move in
Correct.
that trajectory.
Correct.
I would like to mention one good point. Like recently, I was like conducting a panel discussion. I was a moderator there. So the guy was an investor. So he mentioned a very beautiful line that I invest in second-time founders.
Yeah.
I don't invest in like first-timers. I invest in second-time ones because they are the ones who have like already fallen down and now they are trying to do something
Yeah.
again. So maybe that is also a wonderful thing to think about.
That is so true. And I mean, talking about the why and the purpose behind which you started the startup, you're probably starting it because you're solving a problem for an intended target audience, right?
Yeah.
So, what are you guys' tips? Like, how did you guys find your target audience? How did you reach out to them, and how do you connect with them? Because I think that is almost the first step of starting a startup, right?
Yep. So like I said, we were building a marketplace, right? We
Yeah.
are building a marketplace. So you have a chicken and egg problem, like I mentioned, which is you can't scale the
Correct.
organizers and the party goers. You have to scale them parallelly. You can't have one more than the
Yeah.
other. It's like on Tinder, you have more men than women. Women won't like it. If you have more women than men, obviously they like it, but they wouldn't prefer it. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
just a fun fact: dating apps, they usually get more women bots at the start, so that they start getting one side of the traction. So for us, we were stuck in that. I went locked in deals with organizers or venue owners for ticketing, and now I was like, okay, now how will I get my customer? Like, how will I get people to go for these
Yeah.
gigs? And that's when I realized that this was during COVID. I realized I saw a spike, I was reading news and there was a spike in dating app downloads and all. I was like, why not download them, get on it, and that's my target audience, right? So when they downloaded a couple and made very great friendly conversations with everybody, and we just being a great friend out there, for just being out there for everybody, and 2-3 months telling them about the journey that I'm on, etc. Products here, we're going live, we're doing our first ticketed gig and all. I'm like, okay, you know what, the product's live, why don't you help me story it? So luckily 200 of these friends on these apps,
So, we 200 matches on these apps.
yeah, I was being very friendly.
Yeah.
So 200 of these people, they actually put stories, put links and everything. One dating app banned me because they thought I was sending illicit content, and I'm yet banned on that.
Oh,
But
why so? Why did they think that though?
well, the name says it, right? Soft my scene. I don't think it was very friendly. So they thought I'm sharing illicit content, and they banned me. And the others went and storied it. Great thing being, we sold tickets like crazy, and that's because lads following, they were like, oh, why am I seeing so many folks actually putting out this particular app? Let me see what it is. And suddenly we had our traction. That was our first go-to traction, and then it's just been a very graceful journey, and it's been an upward curve. So yeah.
So when in doubt, use Tinder.
Yeah. No, not Tinder. I'll suggest you better ones.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have a conversation about that in detail.
Yeah, like sort my date. I'll probably.
I think that's an idea of the next startup.
Yeah, I already have bought the domain, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
so I
When's
bought a
the
lot of
release
these-
date?
No, it's I bought to sell. So yeah, I bought a lot of these domains.
That's nice.
Amazing, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what about you, Shubham?
Yeah, so my thing started like as I said, like we were starting with websites and also definitely like email outreach, WhatsApp, and all those channels were active. But parallelly, like we started attending a lot of events, like
Yeah.
networking events, you could say conferences, conclaves, some sorts of seminars and all. And additionally, like LinkedIn was something that we used intensively since the very beginning. So LinkedIn helped us to like connect with the people who are actually into business, because
Yeah.
on Facebook and Instagram, if you get likes, it's just your friends and family.
Correct.
But if you really want business, you want to crack the LinkedIn mantra. So we focused on LinkedIn. Additionally, like then when we moved our trajectory more towards training and development, we started connecting with college fests, maybe like probably delivering them some sessions for free and then going for like paid sessions. Then probably moving, like we really got a good break with IIT Bombay and BGT and good institutes here in Mumbai. So that added value actually accelerated a lot of our efforts in terms of gathering that L&D, T&D mechanism. And yes, like parallelly, we were the one thing that I was very passionate about was video editing. So I used to capture all these moments and like present it in a very beautiful format.
Yeah.
So every year, like we on my, if you see my YouTube channel, you would find all the sessions.
We're going to take your help editing this podcast.
Definitely, sure. So I learned it myself using like by watching
If
videos.
this service is being offered, even I'll be taking it for free.
Yeah, that's good. I would be able to edit my cues, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Please make us look good as well.
sure. I'll add some.
Never say no to free stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So coming back
And
to
keep
this,
asking for the free stuff again and again and again unless the person blocks you.
when are you sending me the tickets for the next concert?
You can take it today, bro.
Yes. So like the YouTube journey was very beautiful, and like I have tried to document everything. So documenting like the journey again and again and showcasing it in front of your new customers or
Correct.
potential ones
Yeah.
is something that really helped us.
That's nice. That's nice. So that's how you guys found your target audience,
Yeah.
etc. Right. Another big issue that startup founders have is, do I focus on product first or do I focus on distribution first? And especially when you're a 9-to-5er, like working a full-time job, it's hard to focus on both. So what's your advice to somebody out there starting up? Like, would you ask them to build their product first, focus on the perfect product, or build your distribution channels first for when you go full-time?
Why do you say it's hard, dude? If you're an entrepreneur, you are bound to be a hustler. 9 to 5 or 9 to 9. You want to do it, you have to do it. And I would say the best way out is building it parallelly. Like, I don't believe that you can build one, wait for it. Oh, wow, I have a great product. Okay, now, oh shit, who do I give it to? You can't do that.
Yeah.
If it's if you're an entrepreneur who wants to make it, will ensure that timing is not a constraint. I don't see that ever as a reason. If your reason is, oh, I couldn't, be successful because of my 9 to 5, I don't take that as a valid reason. It's probably you didn't have that hunger.
Yeah.
So I think you have to build it both. You have to build both parallelly. The product has to be built via taking feedback to the guys who would be using that product and service.
Yeah.
You have to be inclusive with the entire chain that's going to be using it.
Yeah.
Distribution channels, obviously they will say no to you on the first get-go. You have to be persistent. You have to be going out there and giving them one reason after another why they have to keep using your product. Although your product's not there, you have to make them wait for that product to come out there. I don't see one going with building the distribution channel. Oh, I have this product, I'm going to give it to you after 6 months. Nah, not happening.
Yeah.
You have to build both parallelly.
I feel it's not about 9 to 5, it's about 5 to 9. Like, like 9 to 5 you're working, for example. So it doesn't matter what you do in 9 to 5.
Yeah.
The thing that will matter for your thing is like the 5 to 9. Like after 5 to the next day is 9, whatever time you have, what are you able to achieve in that particular time frame is important. As he mentioned, like it's not about like just doing one thing at once and like taking the other thing after 6 months or 1 year.
Yeah.
You have to do it parallelly. Secondly, testing. Like we call it beta testing, A/B testing.
Yeah.
You have to put it into the market again and again, take it out, try. Like when we initially were doing this software stuff, we had built our own app. So we used to send it to all our colleagues and also all students in colleges. When we used to connect, we used to share our video recordings through that particular app only. So everyone was at least testing it once. We were able to get feedbacks from different users and devices, and also we understood the design was a flaw wherever the design used to crash or something.
Correct.
So feedback is something that is very important. You feel like you have built a product and now my product is the best one. It will solve everything. But no matter what, how well the product has been built, every time an update is what is needed. Even big companies are providing you constant updates. That is the need of the hour. So this is something feedback and updates is something that is very much important in this ecosystem.
Now, talking about the other side of the spectrum. So, right, you have now a person working a 9 to 5 who has a great side hustle, but I'm sure that may not always go down well with where they are working their 9 to 5, right? I'm sure a lot of employers would not like it. Sometimes their contracts would not allow it. So how does somebody deal with that situation?
Sorry, bro. I haven't worked a 9 to 5 to get that right. Yeah, but I think it is being discreet about it. Your 9 to 5, you're paid for your 9 to 5. Obviously, if you be right about your contracts, you can't mess around with your contracts unless you're a badass founder who thinks you're gonna get $1 million exit in a year and you can sue your company for, again sending a notice after that. So yeah, great. If you're that positive about your startup, go for it. Break all contracts. But you have to be very clear what your contracts state, and you have to ensure your 9 to 5 is doing justice to the salary that you're paid or the task you've taken on. Once your manager doesn't have a problem in what you're doing, unless he's a cocky guy. If he's fine with you, great. Keep them in the loop if need be. What you're building, why you're building. Take feedback from them. Make them feel a part that they're helping you grow, even if they are not.
Yeah.
Just make them feel they are the reason why you're there. And I think that's more than enough. It's easier said than done. I am not the right person to say that. But yeah, I think you should be great on answering that.
Yeah, Shubham's doing this.
Yeah.
So as I said, when until and unless I am very sure that now I can step out and do my thing, I don't want to keep it
What is your definition of sure?
Yeah.
My definition of sure is as you mentioned that checklist, the first 3, not the fourth one. I'm already married. So
Yeah.
So coming to the first 3, the very first is am I able to really solve some problem? From my checklist, if I just take it, am I really able to solve some problem? Am I really able to sustain on my own? Am I able to pay my bills and my team's bills for the ecosystem, whatever we are, technology and what we are using? And third most important thing, is it giving me happiness? Is it giving me that mental peace which I'm looking for?
So side hustle isn't giving you happiness today?
No,
because he's married now.
No. Yeah. So my side hustle, as of now, I could say my side hustle is more towards training. It's about learning. And I am also a learner as of now. As I said, I'm in the journey of earning my credibility as of now. So it's better if I also complement it with my experience in terms of the work that I'm gathering as of now. And once I have both of these in my hands, maybe in a couple of years, then it will be the right time for me to go to that
but
stage.
just touching in on it, paying my team salary, bills and all of it, I'll be very honest with you. What I see that is, I if a founder wants to go absolute bootstrap, speaking of myself, I learn how to run ads on Meta. So I know performance marketing in and out. Learn how to handle social media, digital media, everything. Learn Photoshop, learn Premiere Pro, learn FX Pro. So I know video editing, I know Photoshop in and out. I know how to design, I know how to do all of that. Learned SEO, I didn't learn coding back in my undergrad, but yeah, fine. I learned it a bit out here. Learned that. And learned accounts. All of this I learned because I wanted to save costs. When you're starting off and you're not you're that founder who wants to bootstrap it and hustle your way through, I think use your undergrad years or use your free time to learning one skill, upskilling in different spaces. Once you know a bit of each, a good enough bit of each, at least it gives you the first jump start to get started without investment.
Yeah.
After that is when you actually need the money to get professionals who can do that job better than you. First thing is getting that product market fit. And I don't think you need to pay a bomb of a salary to get that PMF right. You just need your upskilling to get that right. So I think a lot of founders, what they miss out on is, oh, I need this to get it started. I need an accounts team to get it started. I need this to get. No, I don't think you need any of that. I think you can go on YouTube, screw that Netflix and chill, go on YouTube, learn how to do all of it. And you should be good to go in that same time. And that's what I think will make a great founder in the coming future, because VCs love to see now PAT positive startups. They love to see hustlers. They love to see how you made it.
Correct.
Fun fact being, I'll give you a fun fact about me. My CTO and me are such jugadus. Dude, no cap. We've run a service for 1.5 years at zero cost.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And we have our own ways how we've done that. And 1.5 years, zero cost. I know how we've done that.
Yeah.
And that is why, because we are very clear, every penny has to be spent wisely.
True.
Yeah.
And you don't need money to build anything unless, like I said, tech, capital, or AI intensive.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a great perspective.
That is.
Yeah. So,
But I
Shubham-
would still like to stick on my.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. So, hearing that, are you inspired now to go full time on your side?
No.
hustle?
Like, it miserably failed.
Yeah.
I'm not demotivating anyone. Of course, if you feel you are ready for it, go for it. But in my case, I feel I still need some time to really be ready for that particular ecosystem, for that commitment. And once I have it set right according to my plan, definitely it will come out.
Being an entrepreneur is inherently so high risk, high reward that it also really depends on your risk appetite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people have different risk appetites. And I think the one thing that people need to be honest to themselves about is how risk averse or, how risk taking they are as people. Because if you're a risk averse person, maybe the best option for you is to stick in that 9 to 5 and not to leave it. If you hate your manager, if you hate your job, find a better one for you, right? But for those 1 or 2% of people, right, who just do not like working under anyone, who will be miserable at any job, right, really want to do their own thing, I think this is really for them, Now that we're coming towards the end of the podcast, I wanted to ask you guys about, that one moment that you felt made the journey worth it. Because it's a lot of struggle, it's a lot of hustle. You've spoken a lot about the different things you've had to do, from going on dating apps to running your thing at zero cost to learning a lot of things. So what was that one moment where you felt like this journey has been worth it?
For me, I'll be honest, I come from a typical family business background wherein my father, the first thing he told me was, what is this you're doing? Like, whatever you'll do out of it, you'll probably earn more when you're more than ever you can think with working in the family business. Yeah. But for me, it was to make that, I was very passionate about it. I wanted to make a difference out there in this space. So I used to go late at night for meetings. Again, parents were like, why are you going so late? Do that in the morning. Yeah. Because typical business, they think meetings happen in the morning. But sadly, my clients, they wake up at weird times. Like meetings are random times. And I had to go for those meetings at random places just because I wanted it badly.
Correct.
And my father's used to the fact that people come for the meetings to him. He's like, why are you going there? Tell them to come here. I'm like, no, dude, that's not how my space is working. So that went on for a year or so. And obviously, we got some good amount of traction. We were scaling super fast. The high came first was obviously when we did India's first hip hop concert post-COVID, which happened at Geo, first post-COVID concert.
Was this Russ?
Yeah, this was Russ. Yeah. We had probably the highest spending crowd for that time.
Yeah, thank you for the backstage passes for that, by the way.
So yeah, that was the first high. But my personal high was when my father was attending a wedding, and then it was during the Holi period, March Holi festival. So it was at Lalit, and there was a big banner out there and which had our ticketing logo, get tickets on this. So he sends me a picture like, oh, you're ticketing this place? I'm like, yeah, I guess. I have no idea because I wasn't keeping track anymore. Yeah. And a lot of people then call him up saying, oh, dude, I want passes for this pass. And I was like, oh, wow. Why am I getting calls? And then he reached out through, what are you doing that people are actually hitting me up for holy events like pass? I'm like, I think we have, captured some good events, and I think Bombay or India's most premium Holi, which is Babang Juhu, is with us, and where people pay 15,000, 20,000 rupees to get out there, but that's with us. And I had people calling my dad for that, and my dad's like, wow, you're doing something, bro. And that was my high, personal high. And after that, there's been no looking back. Full family's been supportive. They understand I'm doing something which might grow super big I think it's big enough, but yeah.
I'm sure there's a long, long way to go.
Yes.
Yeah. But in 5 years.
I'm retiring after 5.
Yeah.
So, like when we started, like my journey, so we did not have a name.
Yeah.
And like we were just like a group of students who were trying to like build websites and all in all. We were freelancing in
Yeah.
technical terms. So now we got I was also one of those IIT aspirants who wanted to enter into IIT Bombay. And during my thing, I cracked JEE mains but couldn't crack JEE advanced due to some like score. I couldn't do it. So now I was like, I just missed the IIT train, and like I was a little low in that phase of my life. And after a year, like in my engineering times, when I was just thinking of doing something of my own, like Delta and all, so IIT asked me to like lead their project, this solar project, maybe like an outsourced person
Yeah.
for them. They had their internal teams and all, but they wanted to scale it more in a better way, and I got a chance at IIT.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying maybe I was just an enabler for my friends as well. So all of us got a chance to be at IIT for those world record projects, the solar world record projects, which happened in 2018 and 19. And like from there we like understood the importance of having a name, a title, a banner under which you can work together.
Correct.
So when if you see my journey video, it's
Yeah.
available on my profile and all. So when I'm just standing on the stage at IIT Bombay, on the same stage where eminent personalities like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Dalai Lama, and like Gaur Gopal Das, and so many people have graced that stage.
Yeah.
I'm standing on the same stage. I'm just leading the way. There are thousands of people sitting in front of me with those solar lamps. They're just lighting the lamps and turning it off. It was so beautiful, I'll tell you. And the video, if you see it,
That does sound like a true moment.
it just gives you goosebumps. So that's whenever I see that video. So every year I have a habit of releasing my annual video. Like I have titled it since first year, like we are one. Like when we completed our first year, I told it it's like we are one. Then after a year, it was we are 1+1. Then it is 1+2, 1+3, and now it is 1+4, which is released like recently. So every year, like the glimpses when I see the journey together, the moments. It's just like a super fast flashback.
Yeah.
And that's what is like the high. So on every 9th of April, I'm just ready with that video, and I want to show it to the world. Like this is what I have done. Like like a cumulative frequency. Like
Yeah.
every year I'm adding the
Yeah.
new moments to it. That's it.
One of the things that we're trying to do at Loyantra is build up this community called Loyantra Founders Club of founders, creators, like-minded people, just so that they have a safe space twice a month to meet, right? And just realize that they're not alone, share their journeys, right? And be part of an ecosystem because it exists in Bangalore and I've loved it, the little bit of time I've spent in Bangalore, but it doesn't really exist in too many other cities in India. So I'd love your views on, the importance of community that founders could benefit of and aspiring founders could benefit from.
So when I was figuring out my master's or when I was figuring out my doctorate program as well, I did not have like exactly the people who would tell me like do this. I had to figure it out myself.
Correct.
And the best source of information is of course like the internet.
Yeah.
But on internet also you find a lot of paid reviews and all. So the best the like I personally find the way to do it is like you can connect with people on LinkedIn.
Correct.
Or like you can connect with some people who have already done such a
Yeah.
course and like ask them, maybe like connect with them personally,
Yeah.
give a call and discuss with them like how has it been their experience. Because on the review side, most of the times it is not the very clear picture. So I did this and like I found there were communities of like our previous batches and like alumni and all.
Yeah.
So I interacted with them. I got a perspective on what I should go for. Is it aligning with my career goals and all? And then probably I took my decisions. So in my decisions, I feel communities have played a very important role. Like I also was, I'm like an active member with the Microsoft communities as well. Whenever there are boot camps and all, we tend to meet.
Yeah.
And like when we were in our college days, since there's like now after 8 and 10 years also when we are meeting, and now also we are discussing, okay, this new framework has been released or some new thing has come up. So we have grown together.
Correct.
The feeling of growing together is something that is so beautiful.
Absolutely.
And like I'll tell you, like we meet thousands of people in communities, but maybe hundreds of them are something that we remember.
Yeah.
10 are the ones with whom we actually collaborate, and 5 are the ones who become our friends.
Yeah.
So that has been my formula till date. Yeah.
That's really well put.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when it comes to communities, the industry that I am in, I think it is the most beautiful community that exists because you meet for just to chill, just to drink, for drinks, everything just normal for this
Yeah.
events ticketing space. And our journey has been so quick and so nice is because of the event organizers communities that we have.
Yeah.
And the event organizers, every new push that we have in terms of product change, they know they will be brought into the loop.
Yeah.
The entire platform that we've built, I won't say it, but we've had people from Sunburn who've suggested us, okay, you know what, you should add this. From Book My Show who've suggested, you know what, you should have this. From Zomato who've suggested us, okay, this feature will be really cool.
Yeah.
So all such, some really cool people and some very like event organizers in tier 3 cities who would never expect a call from me saying, okay, you know what, I want you to see my new platform, like the backend for organizers. Tell me, how do you feel about it?
Yeah.
Like, what? You're asking me? I'm like, yeah, I want you to tell me what should I change out here.
Yeah.
Like, bro, crazy. And they're like, okay, you know what, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like, dude, I love it. I love it when they're talking about it. And that's how the entire platform that we've built is more organizer positive, and all of them feel
Yeah.
they have been a part of the system to build it. And that has been our biggest gain. And I think as long as you have your community sticking together, being there for each other, it's just growth for everyone in that space, no?
Yeah. And I hope to see you all at the Law Entre Founders Club community.
It's a very beautiful
Yeah,
initiative.
and I'll be honest, what you're doing is superb, yeah. Like, because Mumbai has been known as a space for either finance or entertainment. Founders, yes, there are way too many out here, but there's no way to, hang out, chill out.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is, I think so, adding that extra element, edge in the city, which will make more founders want to be a part of such a community where each one is helping each other out, build more.
Thank
So,
you. And
I could
hopefully
just-
we build it together.
Yeah, so I feel like you're doing the task of Nick Fury here, building your founders, Avengers.
Well, I wouldn't take the credit of being Nick Fury because the community is what the members make of it.
True.
So it's all credit to them and like people like you who come for the meetups, have fun. They've even taken volunteered to organize events, sponsor events. So that's how the community